Hello, you're here with T.
And Matthew.
And Ty.
And we are the Bing Zang Zoom podcast. Can you dig it? We are here today with a very special guest. She is an actress, a dancer, a former NFL cheerleader, a writer, and a practicing martial artist. She is Toccara Lanett.
Queen, all natural and green, organic, gluten free, and everything in between. Queen, eat a piece of fruit or something. Eat a piece of fruit or something. Queen, eat a piece of fruit or something. Queen.
Thank you guys.
Where are you from?
I'm from the DC area, specifically PG County. If anybody knows about PG County, what's up? But my background is I started in cheerleading, actually, like high school, college, competitive. Then was in the NFL world, 2 different teams on for Washington and Baltimore. Did that 7 years. In my last year of cheering in Washington, I was going back and forth from DC to New York. And that's where all of the acting came in, commercial. And then I signed with a dance agency there and then transferred from there to LA. And I've been in LA, oh my gosh, almost 5 years. So it's been great. Moved here to dance and act, to do TV, film, and I write songs as well. So I'm incorporating and working on all of that all in one, as well as using my dance and athletic abilities in martial arts and stunt for TV and film.
Do you feel like your proficiency in martial arts has a bit to do with the cheerleading background, like in terms of balance?
Well, it was definitely a great transition into it. It's a little bit different for TV and film though. So it's interesting learning how, here's how you would technically do it. And so that all transitions perfectly as far as like kicks and being able to like turn and kick and all those things. But then when it's like, here's how you do it for film, and you have to make sure you know where the camera is, and then you're doing your moves. That's just all brand new stuff that you have to like work into and kind of throw away everything that you know from before and go, a camera's right there. You wouldn't hold your hand like this if the camera is somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of like the little stuff where you're like, does this work? But for TV and film, it does.
Did they have you like doing triple takes like Jean-Claude Van Damme back in the days?
Well, when we're testing, yes, we're taught to do everything like 10 times in a row, like basically anything that you learn how to do. Same thing with acting, how you would do a bunch of different takes from different angles. It's all the same. So you have to make sure that you are up physically, because it's not just your voice and your inflection, you know, in any motion, it's your body, it's everything. And we're basically speaking with our bodies in this case. So yes, you're doing it a million times from all angles. And that's what we work on, so that when you get on set, you're not surprised that they ask you to do something 10 times. And you have to know how to do it exactly the same the 10 times.
What would you say the hardest part about cheerleading was?
I'll say one of the hardest things was because we didn't cheer. I never cheered in a dome. So everything was outside. So I've danced in the most humid of weathers, rain, snow, and I've danced in every type of weather you can think of, and not in the warmest clothes. Or if we did have something, we had to like hide heat pads. Like there were all sorts of ways that we did keep warm. So I would say the hardest part of that was the weather conditions, but that also helps when I'm thrown into a situation and I'm on set and it's cold or something. I'm like, oh, I've done this before. Like I don't have to sit around and huddle up with everybody and complain about how cold it is or how like certain things are, because I know what I dealt with as a cheerleader. The harder part of transitioning from a very scheduled, you know, work your life around football season to being out here is anything can happen at any time. So even when I was my last year in cheering, when I knew, okay, this is going to be my last year, because auditions just pop up and I just have to get up and leave and go to New York. You know, I'd be in New York and then I'd audition for like 30 minutes and then I'd get back on the bus, go to DC, and then go to rehearsal. Like those are the things that I used to do over there. But then coming over here, it's like just having things at a moment's notice, but still knowing that you have to be ready. So like the being ready stuff and staying in shape and all of those things translate. But when things are happening, you really have no idea. So if you think it's the holidays and you can slack, no, you can't. Because you could get that audition, especially with dance. Like you could get an audition that's like the wardrobe says body conscious, and you know what that means. You're like, okay, crop top, okay, fine. Like you're not, so those are the different things as far as like that, just being a little bit more shocked that it's like, oh, like tomorrow I have to do this thing, or maybe even this afternoon I have to turn things in. But yeah, these are good questions, guys. Thanks. I don't really get to talk a lot about like how my old life plays into this one, because a lot of times it's, what are you doing now? What are you working on now? So thanks, guys.
So while we're talking about that, what are you doing now? What are you working on?
Well, I am doing a lot of auditioning. Obviously, I'm training with you, Matthew. I'm also creating new ways to, I guess, use all of my talents and present them. This is like a side note. It's not in the intro, but I do run a stock trading group. So I mentioned that because right now I'm thinking of ways to use entertainment to inform people about different stock situations. So yeah, TikTok is going to be, I guess, the forefront, and actually using TikTok not as like, let me just jump on the latest dance craze, but to dance and inform. So that's like my newest baby there as far as like creativity goes.
Did you buy GameStop stock when that was going on?
I was just about to ask that.
Because so what I do is I actually teach people how to read charts, so that when they do hear about something like GameStop, you pull up the chart and you see what the trends are to know, should I wait a little bit or is it time to get in? My charts said no, so I stayed away. But yeah, the cannabis stocks though, yes. But GameStop and all that stuff, the chart said this is going to be a bit wild. This isn't the right time to get in. But had I gotten in when my friend told me, then I would have done something. But there was no way to know that it was going to shoot up the way, like exponentially the way that it did. But I knew it was coming down.
You don't see me right now, but I am right now. I'm writing everything she's writing.
Advisor. I'm letting you know what I see and what I do, because that's what I, got to tell people. Tell you what I do and where I've had success. I didn't even tell y'all I sell hair extensions. Like, it's a whole other, like, there's lots of things. There's lots of things.
Let's go.
Back pocket.
Put it out there.
Are you able to talk any about working with Snoop Dogg on tour?
So yeah, that was a really, really cool experience. That mainly ended because of the pandemic. Like the last show that we did was Super Bowl weekend, and it was like Guns N' Roses was like the main opener, and we were right before them. So that's my like sweet memory of like, oh, the last show was awesome. I finished and then watched the Guns N' Roses show. But yeah, that tour that I told you I booked, that was 2016, and we were with him. We thought it was just going to be that 6-week tour. It was him and Wiz Khalifa, and then Snoop just kept hiring us to come back. We would just get these emails and texts like, "Are you guys available for this?" And absolutely yes, like I'm out. So yeah, that was really cool to just know that an artist was like, you know what, and it was two of us. He actually picked me. The other girl, her name is Angel B. She's an artist. That's my girl. She's one of my bridesmaids actually. So I could thank Snoop for like, we met on the plane going to the rehearsal for his tour. But yeah, he just asked our agency to they sent over like 30 girls, and I just got an email while I was doing laundry one day saying, Snoop Dogg would like to know your availability for the following dates. And I was just like, no audition? Like, he just no, like, so that was actually like a super cool experience, because with all of the auditions, I used to fly out here I've auditioned for the Formation tour for Beyonce, J-Lo's Vegas show, like all the things. And I was coming back and forth from the East Coast to finally get here, and just, he liked your picture in your dance reel, and like, yeah, just come out. Are you available these 6 weeks? And that was really, really awesome to be able to just, he handpicked the two of us. Like, yep, I want them. So that was awesome.
Snoop. Look at Snoop.
Yeah.
Uncle Snoop always bringing people together.
Friendships and yeah. So that's cool. And we always had shows on 420. So that was cool. Always. We were always somewhere.
Remember to get those stocks, right? Those stocks
Well,
looking
and
up?
actually, that's how I got into investing in cannabis stocks. Is we were actually in Canada, and the night before one of our shows, Snoop has a few different managers, and one of the managers that was there, I think he saw me and Angel in the lobby, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going out for drinks. You know, do you guys want to come?" So we're there. The show that we were doing was in conjunction with like Canopy Growth, which CGC, that's the symbol if y'all want to pay attention. Um, but we were actually doing a show for like a subsidiary of that company. And one of the guys, we were talking to him about crypto and all these different things. And he was like, well, what I know is stocks. And if you ladies are, you know, if you do start investing, here are the different Canadian companies, because next, I think it was August, 2 months after that, weed became federally legal in Canada. So they were just letting us know, here's what's happening in Canada, and here are the Canadian companies that are associated with that sort of thing. And that's really where investing in stocks, CGC was my first like non-penny stock that I invested in. And that came through touring with Snoop, because we were actually performing. So I don't know if I know his manager knows, because every time I see him, I'm like, hey, I'm still investing, like that kind of like, hey, remember that day?
What would you say your dream role would be in acting? Do you have a dream role?
You know, a dream role would actually be to play. I know I'm taller than her, but if I could play Janet, y'all, that would be so dope. Janet Jackson, or just basically any artist. So if they created some sort of drama with a musical artist, like I'd write the music. You know, I'd like, so that actually that's how Hemp Queen kind of came about also, was because like I love comedy. Like I've taken some improv at Upright Citizens Brigade, and Anchorman is one of my favorite movies. So I was just like, oh, if I could come up with something that's just like silly, that uses like all of the talents, that's actually where the Hemp Queen idea came from. And interestingly enough, I actually, when I would tour with Snoop, I would actually make my own clips. I would like bring my crown and like do my own behind the scenes clips as Hemp Queen on tour. But then like right when I was about to start putting stuff together to like release it, that's when the world shut down. And I was like, okay, well, no one's touring now. I don't know what to do with this. So I still have leftover footage that I want to like repurpose. But yeah, my dream role would just be any musical type of character, not necessarily a musical, but like a pop or R&B star. Like, you know, I'm gonna just put that out in the universe. But that's my dream
I
role.
can see the Janet thing happening. I can see that.
Or a made-up character that also like kicks ass. Like that's why I'm doing action and stunts, but I still want to dance also. So it can all come together. Somebody will do it, or I'll just do it myself. When I think about certain stuff, like I don't know if you guys, how much you listen to Solange, how much of a fan you are of hers at all. But Cranes, there's a song of hers, Cranes in the Sky, that when it came out, she was like, I wrote this song 8 years ago. And I was like, oh, okay, you can still use your art when you have an idea that's like sitting around for a while. There's a time that it can come out and be released and be created. So that's where some stuff, Hemp Queen, that idea actually is from years ago when I was in my apartment in DC. Like, what if somebody out there was like real ratchet with their health and organic, you know, with their life, you know, because you could be organic and be a thug too, you know? So being able to follow through with that was awesome. So the first verse of that song like was written like at least 4 years before we shot the video. My fiance is a music producer, so he was the one who was like, well, you have to make a chorus. You have to do this. You can't just have this one verse. Like you have to like make it a full thing. So he actually produced the song, and yeah, it was really cool. So and yeah, and at the time I wrote that verse, I didn't even know him. Like it's that kind of thing where the things just come together.
Do you have a favorite TV show or favorite movie that you can name?
Whew, okay, TV show. Well, right now, Bridgerton has really caught my heart. Mainly because of I was only planning on watching one episode to check it out, and then I binged watch. I'm not the biggest, like, I'm going to sit and watch everything. So if I end up binge watching something, like, you got me. I tend to go more with comedy just because it's not, you know, super emotional, but you have to be able to balance. So comedy wise, I mean, I keep The Office on replay all the time. like The Office, Parks and Recreation, like all those silly mockumentary type of shows end up being my favorites. And there's actually also a sketch comedy, I think they're called Astronomy Club on Netflix. Like as far as comedy goes, like all the facets of Blackness are represented in this comedic show. So like that, if we're gonna talk about like what's grabbing me right now, it's like it's that it touches on so much, and I'm just like, everybody, I'm like, y'all gotta watch this, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. So yeah, that's where I'm at. TV movie wise, what's the last movie I did see Judas and the Black Messiah, which is really good, but sometimes those historical movies get me like a little mad. So I'm looking for a new comedy to like take me from there. But that's what it's supposed to do, you know, all this TV and film, it's supposed to move you. So
do you feel like you'll have any difficulty with the crime scene? You feel like you have to get an onion or?
No. I won't. It won't go that far. It's just a matter of right now I'm just learning different techniques to be able to because I've learned so many different ways as far as like, okay, think of this traumatic experience and then just bring it through in the scene. And I don't like doing that. My other thing is that whenever I've had this let me tell you about this weird thing that happens to me sometimes in acting classes. Whenever I get fully emotionally in something very directly related happens. Like in one class, I was asked to like pinpoint a situation, like a person who had done me wrong. And then I saw that person the next day and I hadn't seen them in years. But then here's a good part though. In one acting class, I had a scene where I was at my wedding saying vows and we were crying. It's crazy. And the next day I got proposed to. So it's a very interesting when I fully invest in these emotional situations, real life things.
So are you a witch?
No,
You don't want to manifest anything negative.
Right. I'm such an energy person that I'm like, so once I don't know if I need to get into the crystal thing because I'm in LA, you know, crystals and saging, all of that is such a thing. Like, I don't know if I need to have like my crystal on me after I get into my scene so I can make all the energy go into there and then put it away until it's time to do it again. I'll let y'all know if I figure that out. I'll let you know which crystal it is.
Stay away from horror films if this is the case.
Oh
yeah, definitely. Please do.
I won't get into that. Anything dealing with like, I had to tell my manager once, like, if there's a demon involved, like, please don't send it my way.
I'll tell you, one of the scariest experiences I had recently on a set. Last month, I had a project premiere, and it was about the Manson family murders. And I played Tex Watson, who was the guy who actually did the killing. And they were telling me on set, they're like, yeah, so just so you know, Tex Watson, the guy who committed the murders, he did ask that he get to see this when the project's done. So if that adds any pressure to your performance, I'm just like,
what?
How quickly can one turn into John Cena?
In jail?
He is in jail. Yeah, he's in prison for lying for sure. But
and they're like, yeah, cool, you can see this movie.
I guess so.
Into the jail, not talking.
And he breaks out. He breaks out.
I didn't like your facial expression in this scene, so I'm coming to get you.
Oh man, I didn't know you were out here playing murderers, Matthew. I had no idea.
Let me show
That's
you
kind
how
of my stick, to be honest. I do a lot of these true crime shows and recreations. Like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of my bread and butter right now is playing murderers.
Well, this was awesome.
You want to plug your Instagram or anything?
Oh, sure. At Toccara Lanett, Toccara Lanett. And everything else I do, you can find there. There's links, there's my link tree, all those sorts of things to keep up with me if you guys want to. Thanks, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys. This was cool.
Not a problem. This has been another edition of the Bing Zang Zoom podcast.
I love that name.
Yeah, well.
Zang Zoom.
I'm making gun noises in the background too. You just can't see it because of the screenshot.
Follow Bing Zang Zoom on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast outlets.